There are some new efforts at trying to use diplomacy to bring an end to the Israel-Hamas war. Egypt has drawn up a proposal that would stop the fighting and create a framework for how to move forward after the battle ends. According to a senior Egyptian official and a European diplomat familiar with this proposal, the Egyptian plan calls for a phased hostage release. It also proposes that a Palestinian government of experts would oversee the Gaza Strip and the occupied West Bank for an interim period of time after the war. So far, though, Israel and Hamas not really commenting on this specific plan. Martin Fletcher, former NBC correspondent and bureau chief in Tel Aviv, joins us now with a closer look at this. Martin, my friend, good to see you. While this plan is still in the early stages, of course, it seems to be the first real comprehensive plan that we've seen that could end all of this. But what more do we know about the proposal?
Well, you're right, Stephen. It is the first comprehensive plan, and it could end all this if the sides took it seriously. But there's no sign yet that that's happening. But having said that, it is a ray of light. I mean, they're putting forward a plan that will draw the two sides into hopefully some kind of conversation through intermediaries. But at the moment, it doesn't look good at all, because as you pointed out, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has said they're just going to keep fighting. As Josh Lederman said, his response basically was forget about it. Israel wants to continue this to continue until Netanyahu says Hamas must be destroyed. He says Gaza must be demilitarized. Palestinian society says must be de-radicalized. And before that happens, Israel's going to stay in Gaza to guarantee security control. So although Egypt is offering a potential way forward, beginning with a kind of a hostage prisoner swap, that would be for women and men for men over 60, sick hostages. And in exchange, Israel would agree to a ceasefire lasting a week or two, or a pause, if you like. So that's the way forward that Cairo is offering. But so far, from the little we know, it appears that Hamas has rejected this offer from Egypt. And Prime Minister Netanyahu has said, on the one hand, Israel will keep fighting. There are suggestions from Israeli officials that this could be a basis for discussion going forward. But at the moment, it doesn't look good, but it does offer at least a ray of hope and a subject for negotiations.
Not being welcomed with open arms, but any move forward certainly welcome here, Martin. And we know so far we have seen those temporary pauses in fighting for hostage releases. Of course, we've seen so many ceasefires end over the years. Is there enough trust here at all from each side that we think that this could move forward?
I think the short answer, Stephen, is there's no trust at all from either side. But what will move it forward is extreme pressure on Israel from the United States and extreme pressure on Hamas from Arab countries. But it doesn't look as if that's going to happen to any great extent, because Israel already has the green light, really, from the United States to continue fighting as long as it can reduce civilian casualties and as long as it can guarantee that humanitarian aid will continue to flow into Gaza, by which we mean, of course, food, water, fuel, and medicine. So as long as that's happening, Israel has the okay from President Biden to keep fighting. And there's no sign that Iran is going to pressure Hamas to stop fighting. So there's very little trust. Well, actually, there's no trust at all between Hamas and Israel. It's more a matter of what pressure will be applied on them from outside. And at the moment, there is no real great pressure to stop the fighting, because America understands that Israel's position that it must destroy Hamas now, otherwise there'll simply be another war in another year or two, which Hamas has already said they will do. They will attack Israel, Hamas said. So there's little pressure at the moment, despite these astonishing numbers of civilian casualties. 20,000 dead Palestinians in a couple of months is an appalling number. But as Israel says, the number is caused by Hamas hiding behind the civilian population. That's the price of that policy.
And over the weekend, reports 250 Palestinians killed in just a 24-hour time span. And Martin, Israel, of course, since the beginning of this, has said its goal is to eradicate Hamas. Under that Egyptian proposal, obviously that is not included in this plan. And as recently as this weekend, Netanyahu saying that telling his cabinet they wanted to fight until absolute victory here. So is there any chance that Israel will be able to move forward after what it's already said its goals are?
Well, not it doesn't. I mean, Stephen, that's a great question because it's such a complex and confusing situation. Israel says it's going to fight till the end until it's destroyed Hamas. Nevertheless, there's a plan by Egypt to stop before that. So, will Israel compromise? There is pressure on Israel to compromise from not only from outside, from Hamas, but also from inside. The families of the hostages are determined to keep demonstrating and to keep putting pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu until he agrees to stop fighting long enough to get all the hostages back home. Don't forget, there's over 100 hostages still held by Hamas. And there's pressure building inside Israel to pause the fighting long enough to get the hostages back. Does that mean a complete ceasefire? Does it mean an end to Israel's war against Hamas, which would give Hamas victory? It doesn't look like Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to do that. He's said, we're going to fight till the end. But pressure's building inside, some pressure from outside, but not enough to stop Prime Minister Netanyahu's path at the moment.
And there is pressure in the United States for the Biden administration to put pressure on Netanyahu to do something in that respect. All right, great insight, Martin Fletcher. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.